Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Cricket. I have had a lot of requests to make Salisbury steak with gravy, so I'm going to make one that we're going to cook in the crock pot. So let me get started. There's a few steps that we've got to do before we actually get it in the crock pot. So right here I have around 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and we're going to season it up with some salt. Not going to use a lot of salt because we're going to have a gravy with it, and some pepper. And now, like you see me say, we love this adobo. You don't have to use it. So, and it's really just to your taste. That's probably 1/2 teaspoon. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of my minced garlic. I'm going to add some onion powder, and that's probably 1/2 teaspoon. And I'm going to add my what's this here sauce, about a teaspoon of it. And this is optional. I'm going to add a little sriracha sauce to it, just a little squirt. I'm going to add an egg, help hold it together. And now I'm out of my regular breadcrumbs, but I did have these in my cabinet. This is some sweet chipotle, and it's actually panko breadcrumbs, but they look like regular breadcrumbs. So I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of that, and then get my gloves on. I'm going to mix it up real good, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, I have my patties made. I have 7 of them, but it's according on what size you make them. I'm going to actually fry them up, not till they're done, just get a little color on both sides, and that will help them not to fall apart, and also it will get out a lot of the grease so that ain't floating in our gravy. So we're not cooking these till they're done, just till they get a little bit of color on both sides. Alright, for our gravy, I'm going to make it real quick, and you're hearing my hamburger sizzling in the background. I am adding a 14-ounce can of beef broth, and mine is reduced sodium. And to make it more flavorful, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of my concentrated beef broth. Now, you can use some beef bouillon. Now, to kind of repeat the flavors, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. I'm not adding any salt or pepper. I'm going to add a teaspoon of our what's this here sauce. I'm going to add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of ketchup. And I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of dried parsley and 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. I'm going to give this a mix. With my crock pot on low, I'm going to add 1 small onion that I just sliced on the bottom. And if you want to add mushrooms, you can add your mushrooms now, but I'm going to add my mushrooms later. So I'm going to add my hamburger patties, and now I'm just going to pour my gravy across the top of it. Put the lid on and let it cook on low for 5 hours. Alright, I hope you can see down in there good. Mine's been cooking for 4 hours. So you don't have to do this part, but I'm going to. I'm going to remove the hamburger patties, and I'm going to strain out the gravy, because to me, I don't like onions that's just been cooked to death. The texture of them. So you don't have to do this. If you don't, you can totally skip this step. But so I'm going to strain it, and then I'm going to add some mushrooms, taste the broth, and see if I need anything else. But I'll bring you back for that part. Alright, I just want to show you how much of the broth that I have. I don't have much of the gravy. It's almost 3/4 of a cup, and I went ahead and put it in my defatter cups to get out more of the fat. So I want more gravy than that, so you don't have to do that much more, but I want more. And it tastes good, but I'm going to add another can of my beef broth and just about another teaspoon of my beef concentrate, just to get that good and deep beef flavor in there. Or you can add some beef bouillon, or you can add a packet of the brown gravy mix. And I'm going to season this up just a little bit more, so this video will be good and confusing. Make it your own. That's why I say, you know, taste your food as you go and make it your own. Use the flavors that you like. So I'm going to give this a mix, and I'm going to add just my gravy back in there in the crock pot and let it all get heated up for about 15 minutes. And then I'll be back to add my patties and some mushrooms and to thicken up the gravy and let it finish cooking. Alright, in my tiny mixing bowl, I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of cornstarch along with 2 tablespoons of water. And now mix it till it's smooth. And now we're going to add that in. Give this a good whisk. And now when we add our cornstarch slurry in here, we need to whisk that real good. Make sure we get it whisked real good. So now I'm going to add back in our hamburger steaks and the juice that was in my plate. And now I've taken a container, an 8-ounce container of mushrooms, and cleaned them and sliced them. And I'm going to add those in. Now if you wanted to add your mushrooms at the beginning when you added your onion, that's fine. I don't like mushrooms really. That looks like a lot of mushrooms. But Ricky and Alex do. So now these won't be like cooked to death. So now we're just going to let this simmer for another 30, 45 minutes, maybe another hour, until the gravy's real thick and the mushrooms are done. And if you want to put onions in your hamburger patties, just use 1 onion, chop half of it to put in your hamburger patties, and then the other half put in your crock pot. Alright, I'm going to bring you along as I open it up for the first time after the last time. And yes, my crock pot don't have a knob, but it still works. And I did put my crock pot up on high. And if you want to make your gravy a little bit more thicker, you can add more cornstarch. This is fine to me. It might need a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to add about a tablespoon more. And then I'll stir it up, let it bubble for a few minutes, and then I'll bring you back when it's ready. And here is our finished Salisbury steak with mushroom gravy. And I'm not even really going to, I'll put out like a main recipe in the description box. But when I cook like this, I just keep cooking it and changing and adding. I really don't measure. And my kids know this, so if I make something like, I make chili all the time during the winter. And so if I make it and it's real good, they'll say, make it exactly how you made this. But anyway, make it your own. So I'm going to try some with a little mashed potato. Very good and very tender. So give me a thumbs up if you like this recipe, and comment. I love hearing from you. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you hit notifications so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And I appreciate you all, and I appreciate all your lovely comments. And real quick, went to the post office box and got this beautiful card. I'm going to cover up the real name, but thank you, Bella. The card is beautiful, and I will put it up and put it in my scrapbook and cherish it always. Thank you so much. That was very kind and sweet of you. Made my day. Bye, everyone. I hope you enjoy.